All right, everyone, welcome to Cluster API Azure Office Hours. Today's May 18th, and I'll be hosting today. So, do we just start with the open discussion?
There's a few recurring topics if you want to go through. I don't think we have anyone new today, but
Yeah, I just see a
just for the head.
milestone and agenda. Yeah, I guess usually we'd say if there's anybody new, feel free to introduce yourself. I think everybody here has been around. So, do we go into open discussion? All right, this for discussion topics. Ashutosh, I'll pass it to you.
Hi, folks. We're continuing this discussion that I had on Slack. So, looks like this current change that is there for the workload identity PR, it's too big. John, if you can just please open that PR from CapZ repo. Or how do you want to do that? Am I audible?
Yeah, we can hear you. Do you want to share your screen, Ashutosh? Would that be easier? I can make you co-host.
Oh yeah, sure. That helps. One moment. Okay, can you see the GitHub screen?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So I have added like a couple of commits on this PR, and if you see from this commit that I've selected, it uses user assigned identity for all the templates, because while I was doing this PR sometime back, cloud provider Azure did not support workload identity. And that meant that we have to use user assigned identity for that. So we were talking as part of review in PR comments, and somehow we thought that we should kind of change all the templates to use user assigned identity, and then all the E2E tested CI to be using workload identity by default. So this is what I've done so far in this PR, but looks like it's good to kind of get into a smaller scope where we just add a PR. If you see this commit, the top 4 commits, that just enables workload identity capability into CapZ. And then it also adds an E2E test that specifically creates a management cluster based on workload identity. So this is the 2 approaches. I kind of voted for the first one, so that it just gives us an idea of how workload identity is going through, if there are any issues and feedback from people. And then we could kind of in subsequent PR, I can raise this and change to be using workload identity as in default on all the CI tests. And while we do that, there was also a discussion around how do we leverage CapZ workload identity with cloud provider Azure. And I have been trying to think on that. I did some experiment yesterday, but that was unsuccessful. So I'll be able to get back onto that by next week. So this is where I stand. We'll stop and see if anybody has anything to say. And I can give a walkthrough of this PR in high level, what I've done. Cecil.
Yeah, so first of all, thanks for working on this. This is a really big effort and really important, so thank you. I think I'm with you that smaller changes are better, and they're going to be a lot easier for reviewers to review and understand. And I think that's going to help us in the end overall get this in faster. I think first thing first, we need to merge the proposal, because this is the POC implementation for a proposal that still hasn't merged. So
yep.
First thing we need to do is merge the proposal. Then if we can add like a test that demonstrates how this works without changing any of the like defaults or templates, that would be really great because then we can get some mileage on it. And then we can move towards doing what you said of like turning it on everywhere. The tricky thing with forcing user identity on like all the users basically, because that's the only thing that works, is that as much as it's recommended and we want users to be using managed identity, it's really tricky because in order to have a user assigned identity that has the correct permissions, you need to assign role assignments. And in order to do that, you need to have very elevated permissions in Azure. So you need to be an admin role, which means users wouldn't be able to test this out anymore or like use CabZ to quickly deploy a cluster unless they get their admin to mint a new role assignment for them, which might, make the barrier of entry a bit higher and surprise some folks. So if we can find a way to not have that be, a forcing function, I think that would be good. And the breaking down PRs and starting to get things in bit by bit, I think also helps us, get some time to figure out that part, but still start, evaluating, getting some test signal, etc.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the ASO issue, but John put together like an issue list of tasks that kind of breaks it down and I think makes it really easy for everyone to follow, what's going on, when is that going to be done, in what order. So I don't know, we're kind of late in the process for workload identity now, but for big tasks, I think we should consider doing more of that in the future.
Sure. Yeah, I can still go ahead and like file a couple of issues related to this. But I think if we are in agreement to get into the first smaller PR, I'll just remove all this commit and then it will be easy for people to. And then, yeah, definitely merge the proposal first before getting onto this one. Makes sense. Mike?
Just out of curiosity, would using this workload identity stuff prevent you from being able to do your testing locally with something like Kind for running a cluster?
It don't prevent you, just that you have to follow a couple of steps to be able to use workload identity. And that is not as user-friendly as what it has been so far. So on a high level, you have to kind of generate key pairs, though it will be automatically generated. I mean, the Kind cluster configuration changes that kind of helps you mount a public and private key on your nodes, on your Kind node, and then you have to kind of register that into Azure portal. If you see Azure workload identity docs, if you Google that out, in the docs it's mentioned how you can get that rolling. And obviously this PR will, when this PR gets into a state of being mergeable, then there will be a doc where it outlines, if you want to start developing on workload identity, this is what you have to do to meet the prerequisites. You will be able to do that, just that there are a couple of steps. Does it answer your question, Mike?
Sort of. I'm also wondering if this also breaks the pattern of being able to run CapZ on a non-Azure Azure hosted cluster.
I can answer that. So actually it makes it, that's why we're doing this. So workload identity now supports federated identity, which means you can have an Azure managed identity on a non-Azure VM or cluster, which is one of the main advancements of doing this proposal. So you can now have like your user assigned identity used from within a Kind cluster or an AWS cluster or anything. And it works through service accounts. So the thing that Ashutosh was explaining that you need to do a little extra setup is on the Kind cluster, you need to set up the service account so that it knows where to get the like the OIDC issuer, and it knows where to get the token. So that's why it requires extra setup, but it's an improvement in the sense that now you're able to use managed identities on kind clusters, which you weren't able to do before.
That's awesome.
And what is what this setup is just once a time. Like you don't need to do it like every time. So once you are done, like you have done that step, from next time you should be able to just do a make tilt up. That's all. Cool. Does anything have anything else do you want to talk with this? For sure.
Yeah, are you still planning to do a walkthrough?
Oh yeah,
the
I can do
feature?
at the end, or how do you want to do that?
Okay, today?
I can do it today also.
Oh, yeah, up to you. I think either works, but yeah, that would be great.
Or maybe do one thing. Let me clean this up so that I'll remove all of this template references and all these things, and then we can do it like maybe tomorrow. How does tomorrow work for everyone?
It might be better to use the office hours time just because that's when we know most people are going to be free. It's already recorded. We have all the setup.
Sure, then yeah, then let's do it like next office hours, because I think it will be more easy for me also to kind of clean this all up and then have a nice walkthrough from beginning. Make sense? Okay. Over to you, John. I think that is it that I have.
All right, I'll hop back on the screen share. All right, can everybody see? Cool. Yeah, I just had doing another topic. I was gonna say the out of tree cloud provider support is coming. So I've merged a PR to add the add-on provider to cluster CTL, and I've been testing it out on CapZ to install cloud provider Azure, and so far it's been working pretty well. So we just need to wait for the new version of CAPI to release, and then we can officially have out of tree cloud provider. Yeah, that's all from me. If there's anything else anybody would like to add to the agenda. If not, I guess we could look at some of the milestone stuff if people want to stick around for that. All right, going once, going twice. Cecile, is this where we want to go for that?
Yep, you got it.
All right, so do we want to go through every one of them one by one, or do we want to pick out certain issues to look at in particular? Willie, also, you can go ahead.
Yeah, just random thing. Can you make the text slightly bigger?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, I guess I'll start from the top. Add support and documentation using Azure CNI with CapZ. How's that looking, Cecile?
I'm working on that, Jonathan. I'm actively chasing it. Would still want to have that in the release.
Okay, sounds good. Azure machine template reconcile occasionally fails to find Azure identity. Is anybody working on this?
This one is still unassigned and help wanted. When you look at the list, you can see on the left, or sorry, on the right-hand side who's assigned. That's the little icon. It says
Okay.
the one above it's Nawaz. This one doesn't have an assignee. I would say if we don't have an assignee by midway, we should probably kick it out of the milestone. Is Ashutosh, is that one something that would be interesting to look at post workload identity maybe?
Yes, but I think I looked into that. I was not able to reproduce it, but I don't have much context now. So I'll take a look at post-workload identity. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, probably low priority, just, after we get workload identity done, we can revisit.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Looks like migrate from AAD pod identities as you, Ashutosh. Are we good to keep this on the milestone?
Yes, I think this would give this a milestone.
Cool. Azure Machine Pool UX, Matt, how's it going on this? Oh, is Matt?
Matt's not here. He's out sick. So no updates. We can keep it for now.
Okay, sounds good. Proposal for workload identity integration.
Yeah, so this is the proposal. I think this is what we were talking about. So this is
Yeah.
what this would be merging first. But yeah,
Mm.
there are a couple of things I'll add to that.
Yeah, workload identity, yeah, that's probably the same thing. Audit AKS managed cluster docs, that's Jack and John.
Yeah, I've been looking into that one, and I do have a PR open that I'll maybe ping more folks for review on. But yeah, that's in progress and should be good to keep the milestone.
Mhm. Yeah, the milestone's due in July 11th. So yeah, I think we have a good amount of time for that. WIP Nawaz docs on using Azure CNI. This is unassigned.
Yeah, Jonathan, that's a draft PR I had opened up. It's still working on it. It's related to Azure CNI docs, and this one I think is E2E. I mean, the same thing. So it's split into 3 parts, and would still like to keep it in the release.
Okay, cool.
Thanks.
Support user identity in CAPC manage AKS cluster, Jack. Are you saying something?
Sorry, I was looking for mute in the various windows. Let's keep it in the milestone for now. I haven't made any further progress. It's sort of in a almost functional state. So
Okay, sounds good. What about the next one? Support kubelet user managed identity on AKS VMS S pool.
that I think is
One up.
one of those is oh, those are both issues. I see. So let's keep those both in the milestone. It's unclear to me how there's like a few different dimensions to user identity for AKS. And I've got a PR in here somewhere that tackles at least one of those dimensions, but I'm not sure if it tackles the other. So until I figure all that out, we can just keep all of it in the milestone.
Cool. I'll leave it as is. Next one looks like Nawaz add support for confidential VMs. Looks like we got LGTM already.
Yeah, I think it's waiting on approval because we are waiting for another dependent PR on image builder.
Mhm.
So once that merges in, then we can merge this PR on CAPC.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cecile, scaling up lots of nodes at once causes Docker limits for Calico pods.
Yeah, I think this time the PR is actually ready for review. I need to go back and check how the tests are looking post this morning, but I'll mark it not work in progress anymore once it's ready.
Yeah, so it's this MCR registry.
Yep.
Cool. Add E2E test coverage to test working of Azure CNI.
That's the
Nawaz.
same. That's the same split out task. This one addresses directly the E2E test, so would
Yeah.
still like to keep it in the release.
Sounds good. Optional flat car tests by Willie and Cecile. Says,
Yeah, I think that should be ready to review or merge. I had recently rebased it. Maybe I'll take a look again.
yeah, I think you have the do not merge hold label on there, by the way. So if you are ready to go, I'd say do like the /hold cancel, because you need to remove that before the bot will merge it. I know I've forgotten to do that and wondering like, hey, why is it not merged? So when you're ready, just remember to drop that tag and we should be good to go. Okay, CCM is in crash that loop back off on flat car flavor. This is, I don't know who this is.
That's the issue for the PR we just looked at above.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot of duplicate. I wonder if we should just put issue.
Yeah, I wonder
Like
if
this.
like we should make it like by PR or by issues, but we'll keep moving. WIP, AKS control plane, user assigned identity. Jack, how's this WIP going?
That's the one I was referring to earlier. So let's just keep it in. I thought the earlier issue was that.
Okay, no problem. Async. There's I guess 3 SDK v2 framework issues from Matt. It says priority important soon, so do we want to leave it off?
Yep.
Now?
They
Cool.
all have PRs, so I think they're all in good shape.
Okay, we got 3 ASO.
Yep, those are actively in progress and should be good to keep the milestone.
Cool, yeah. I think we can just go through like the ones that are together as one thing. ARM support for CAPC VM extension, but
Yeah, I almost dropped my copy. That's Willie and I are working on that. It's in progress, jumping through some hoops, getting some pipeline set up to publish the extension internally. But I think it's good to keep for now in the milestone. Hopefully we have it by then.
yeah, for sure. I remember like when I was doing the MAR pipeline, I found out that our image for ARM64 wasn't working at all. So that's definitely good to keep in
Yeah,
mind.
the extension should be the last blocker for ARM64.
Yeah. I think the issue at the beginning was like the Proud pipeline was building only AMD 64 images the whole time. So next one, Cecile, SGX enabled VMs.
I don't know why that's, oh, I offered that issue. Okay. I guess that's just going with the confidential VM PR probably, although it's unclear why there's no PR or assignee on it. So I'll go check.
Yeah. It says a lot. So I think it says Lifecycle frozen. So we could probably punt this one off if you want, but
I think it's probably the PR that we looked at earlier, confidential VMs.
okay, yeah. Then I guess we probably want to reference the issue.
Yeah.
So people know that this is being worked on. All right. Add Azure environment to Azure managed control plane. So it looks like it's Nawaz and John.
Yeah, Nawaz and I have taken a look at this PR. I think Cecile might have had a couple outstanding comments on that PR, but I will check again and just make sure. Yeah, that should be good to keep the milestone.
Cool. Tenant and client ID are not used. Matt. Assigned to Matt. How is this looking?
Well,
Looks
Matt's not here, but
yeah, if anybody knows on it or can speak on his behalf.
Ashutosh might have
yes.
the most context here.
This one is, I think there has been a recent STK v2 change, and while I was testing my workload identity PR, I figured out that somehow that particular service is not, kind of reading tenant ID and client ID from what was passed in as a cluster identity. So this is what this issue is about. So one catch with workload identity is that the workload identity value needs to be passed in Azure tenant ID, and there is no option for that. You have to pass it. So I had to pass a dummy tenant ID, and what happens when it hits this code path? It actually reads that dummy tenant ID and fails. So just to test my current workload identity, or as an hack, I read tenant ID and client ID from Azure cluster identity and just do a SETI and read the code. So this is what I discovered last week while I was testing. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm guessing that since Matt said master in v1.10 2 days ago, we can probably leave it since he added it himself. By Matt, so I'll switch GPU tests. Is this? Okay, yeah.
I can,
Looks like this is
yeah.
done. Yeah, Cecile.
I can speak to that. So the current SKU we're using is getting deprecated in Azure end of August. However, we've been unsuccessful so far trying to get quota for the new SKUs in our CNCF like upstream pro subscription, because there's a really limited capacity for these types of SKUs right now, and there's really high demand. So we're still trying. Hopefully we can get it before the deadline. If not, we'll have to disable the test and figure out something else.
Cool. I'll leave this on the milestone for now then. Last but not least, security rules doesn't get cleaned up on Azure's side. Assigned to Willie. Added
Yeah, this one-
7 minutes ago.
I realized that I was working on this and forgot to add it to the milestone, so I just added it and it's being actively worked on. We'll have a PR out soon, so yeah.
Awesome, sounds good. All right, I guess that'll do it. We are 52% complete with 31 closed PRs, so I think we're making good progress. Okay, going back to the agenda. Do we have to add anything for the next office hours? Any agenda items?
I think that one is just a reminder to copy the template and create the entry for next time so people can add in stuff
Like,
during the week if they have anything.
okay, sounds good. I'll do
Yeah.
that once we wrap up. Okay, I guess if there's nothing else, we can wrap up here.
Thanks for hosting, Jonathan.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks,
Hey,
Jonathan.
we made good time. All right, I'll give you back like 30 minutes in your day. All right,
Thank
see you later.
Bye-bye. See ya.
Bye.